Hey everyone, today I have a little bit of an interesting video. This kind of came up randomly, and I wasn't really planning on making a video about this, but I was doing some work in my, I guess you could say, home lab yesterday. Like typical home lab where I have a couple servers, a couple virtual machines running and whatnot. Just typical like nerd stuff, right? And I was trying to copy over some files to like a USB, like so I can just have some files on hand. Essentially, the basically the virtual machine I was copying files from was a standard. It was a Kali Linux virtual machine, which I use for doing like hack the box and stuff like that, right? So nothing too fancy, and it's not even the one where you install it. It's like you grab their live image and you can just plop that into the virtual machine manager, and boom, it's up and running. So it's not even very heavily customized at all. It's just basically the one that Kali Linux kind of distributes out and gives to you. So essentially what I was doing is I have a couple like notes I've taken over my time. Basically each box I do, I kind of take notes and write things down that might be of interest so I can just learn and move on, right? So what I was planning to do was copy some of the files over to a USB and just kind of have that on hand, either on my host machine or kind of like on my person, because I like to sometimes reference things like even in my job. It's really good to be able to have like some personal notes, right? So I know like using USBs is like the old way of doing things, and you can have like shared folders within virtual machines and whatnot, but I'm like old school. I like to just have it on the USB, that way it's mine and I can do what I want with it, right? So what I was doing is I had about around a gig, 1.1 gigabytes of like guess notes, like text and stuff like that, because I like to take a lot of notes and just kind of add it up a little bit. So I had about a gig of stuff there, and I wanted to copy it over to a USB. So I did what anybody would normally do. I didn't even use the command line. I just used the GUI, Control C. I highlighted all the files, Control C. Then I did a Control V into the USB. Made sure it was mounted first, that it was visible on the operating system, and then I copied it over. And then took a couple minutes and it was copying over, and then it looked like it was done. It was really weird. You have like the little progress bar that pops up. Goes like all the way. It went pretty fast, but then for some reason it unmounted and basically ejected my USB drive. I'm like, huh, that's weird. I'm like, well, maybe it's a new thing. Like, maybe, once, maybe I clicked some setting, like, it's weird, right? So I looked back and I was trying to figure out, okay, I just want to make sure everything's copied over. I just want to do a quick check, before I power down this VM. And I look and I'm like, oh, it doesn't even recognize the USB. So I unmount it like virtually, but then I take it out and plug it back into my like host machine that I pass it through. But then still, like, I'm not getting anything. Like, even when I plug it back into my host machine, nothing pops up. And I've been trying to figure this out. This took me a couple minutes. I'm like, whatever, maybe it's these USB sticks. They're really cheap. They're kind of old. I bought them a couple years ago at Best Buy. They had like a clearance rack. I just bought them, right? So I'm like, okay, I'll try another one and do the same thing. The file copying takes a little bit longer this time. I'm like, okay, maybe something was off the first time. And then it does the same thing again. It looks like it finishes, and then, again, the USB just stops working. And it was really interesting. I wasn't sure what happened, so I did it another time and just copied like half the files, right? And then again, same thing happens. USB doesn't work. I plug it in, unplug it. It's not recognizing it. And I did it one more time after that because I want to do like just a final. Am I like going crazy or what? So I did it again. Same thing. Everything stops working. I'm like, all right, we gotta stop now, otherwise all my USBs are gonna be killed. So in the process, I don't know exactly what I did. I'm gonna have to do some more research on this. I tried doing some basic research, but couldn't find quite anything like a CVE or something. But with those gig of files, I don't know if there's something in them, the way they're encoded, or the way the VM is set up, or maybe it's some of my physical hardware that I use. I killed 4 USBs just by copying and pasting just a file that is just over a gig. And I thought that was kind of crazy because I kind of inadvertently killed 4 USBs. Imagine if you had some really sensitive information on one of these and you wipe the whole thing. Now I know you can do like data recovery, right? There's a lot of advanced things you can do. You can go onto the chip and try to export it out there, but I'm not like really a hardware person. I'm more of like a software oriented person. I mean, I know the basics of some of the hardware stuff, but opening one of these up and getting the data off, I don't know how easy that would be. I mean, I'd be interested in doing it, but the moral of the story is I was really surprised in how I killed 4 USBs. Now I want to make a goal of it to kind of figure out what happened. So I'm going to kind of make a part two to this video where I'm going to kind of look into it a bit further, maybe figure out if there's some setting within the virtual machine manager I use or what. But essentially, be careful copying files to USBs from virtual machines. I'm not sure what happened in this case, but that is how I accidentally killed 4 USB drives. If you guys enjoyed this video, please sure to like, comment, and or subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.